Good evening. Okay, and welcome to the Politics A-Level presentation. I should say, first of all, this is being recorded, okay, so just so that it can go up on the school website over the next few days. What I'm going to try and do over the next few minutes is to outline what the A-Level is all about, so what we cover, the main topics, to think about how it fits with other options that you might be considering and the experience of current students, and then also where politics can take you. So what it might lead on to after A-Level. It doesn't exist at GCSE, so this is a new subject for a lot of you, and that in itself makes it quite interesting and exciting. There's lots of new stuff here that you won't have studied before. And the really great thing about politics as an A-Level is that it's changing all the time. And it really is very student-led. What we discuss, what we debate in class really reflects what students are interested in. And we have a group of students in both Year 12 and in Year 13 with lots of different opinions, lots of different perspectives, and that generates a really kind of lively class debate, which is great. It's a subject that I think now more than ever is really important and really reflects the world that we live in. Just trying to pick some big events from this year, obviously the pandemic and the responses to it. So we've been discussing that, how effective they are, what challenges they pose for how people live their lives. The election in the USA, and what that tells us about the USA as a society, but also things like Brexit, the Black Lives Matter protests, the climate change demonstrations with Extinction Rebellion, and thinking about people's right to protest, people's freedoms, and what we can do about the problems that are raised by those kind of things. So it changes every year, even throughout the year. Some things we start to talk about, they change so quickly, and that's what makes politics a really exciting option to study at A-Level. In terms of what we study, there are three main strands to the subjects. So one of those themes is about global politics. It's a really international perspective. We look at the four big topic areas: human rights, the environment, globalization, and power. So the kind of things we look at are, how effectively are human rights being protected around the world? There are things going on at the moment there in China and in Burma, and we think about, should the international community step in and protect people? At what point should we actually do something to protect people whose rights are being threatened? We think about how effective the world's response to the climate emergency is, what's been done so far, what more can be done, what should be done. We think about globalization as well, so the role of big companies, the role of culture around the world. Are we losing different cultures around the world? Are we all becoming very American, for example? And the picture I put up on there of McDonald's opening in Beijing as a kind of image of a clash of cultures. And power, what we mean there is really the work of the UN. Do those big countries like the USA and Russia and China, do they really get to set the agenda? Should they be telling other countries what to do and how to do it? Is the United Nations an effective kind of police force in the world or not? The second theme is much more UK focused. So we look at elections in the UK. Are they fair? Could they be made better? Could they be made more representative? Do they really reflect what most people in this country feel? We look at the work of Parliament, so how laws are made and how people can influence the types of laws that are made, and linked to that, political parties. What do they stand for? What do they believe in? How effective are they at kind of campaigning for their particular agenda? We look at the role of the Prime Minister. So, what's the difference between us having a Prime Minister and some other countries having a president? How powerful is somebody like Boris Johnson? You know, does he always get his own way? How does he work in the sort of political framework? And finally, the role of the media. So how does the media, whether that's online or newspapers, how do they influence people's behaviour? How do they influence how people vote? How important are they in changing politics? And the third strand of what we cover at the A level is called political ideas, and we look at conservatism, liberalism, socialism and nationalism as being four big ideas that have influenced how people perceive the world around them, what they think is important, and we look at their views on human nature, their views on how society should be run, how some of these ideas have clashed, and importantly, how some of these ideas have influenced the UK and the wider world today. Entry requirements. So we ask that you get either a grade 5 in history or a grade 5 in English, because both of those subjects will have equipped you with the skills that you need to be able to do really well at A-level politics. Good politics students will also have a keen interest in the news and the world around them. Really any sort of topics, and students, you know, develop their own passions over the course, whether that is US politics, whether that is an interest in sort of animal rights, whether that is sort of they develop an interest in UK political party. We've had several students do work experience with local MPs. But it really can be anything, and it's great that students bring that into class, and we can debate and discuss whatever it is that they're interested in. There isn't a coursework element, so it is all examined at the end of year 13 with 3 exams. So you will need good writing skills, but if you've got that grade 5 in history or English, then you have those skills that we can develop and teach you as the course progresses. And then in class, it's quite lively. We have really great bunch of students in year 12 and in year 13 who have some strong opinions, like to debate and challenge each other, and that is a great way of refining our political ideas and getting used to sort of having evidence and researching and being able to back up our opinions to make them really, really persuasive. For those of you thinking about how politics might fit with some of your other options, on the left-hand side, this is just a snapshot really of what some of our current students are studying. History and politics is a pretty natural combination. It's a really popular one because the skills do overlap in terms of being able to analyse evidence, research skills, and some of the writing skills. But sociology and business as well. In terms of sociology, some of those perspectives, I mean, Marxist perspectives on education and things like that, there's a big crossover there with what we cover in politics. And there's a lot of students doing both business and politics. And that's great in terms of how the government promotes business, how it ensures a kind of fair play, how businesses work across borders and around the world. That's very political. But in the past, we have had students do politics and just about every other subject going. I can put PE, drama and psychology up on there, but there are lots of others as well. Beyond the sixth form, so beyond school, where can it take you? Well, law is a really popular option, and journalism. You know, both of those, there's a strong kind of research and evidence-based approach that politics can really help you with. Careers in public service, in local government or national governments, becoming a politician yourself even. But some things as well that might not be immediately obvious. So things like advertising and marketing, public relations, anything in the media really can have a really strong link with politics, and then things like teaching as well, of course. As a department, the A-levels taught by myself, so Mr. Peel, and by Mr. Clark, and politics is a really kind of growing subject in school and nationally as more and more people get interested in the subject. If you've got any questions at all about what we cover or whether you think it's the right option for you, then please ask questions in the chat function here, or have a chat with either myself or Mr. Clark in school. And I've put our emails at the bottom there as well. So parents or students, please feel free to email me with any questions that you might have. Okay, but thank you very much for listening, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you.